Thank you for choosing to fit an Oticon Pediatric hearing aid. My name is Dave Gordy. I'm the Director of Pediatric Audiology at Oticon headquarters. And today, in this brief video, I'm going to show you the 5 easy steps to fitting an Oticon Pediatric hearing aid. Step 1 is getting started. So to get started, there's a few things that I would like to point your attention to. Number 1 is selecting preferences, then edit preferences, and we're going to confirm that the program device that we're using is in fact selected. So click on Program Device, and there displayed will be the programming options, and your program device should appear on the screen. If it does not appear on the screen, go ahead and hit the Detect button on the bottom of the screen. The second thing I'd like to draw your attention to is the Graphs screen. By clicking on the Graphs tab, we have the option to set default preferences so that we're able to customize the view that we see in the fitting screen. Now, when we're fitting children, we're most likely using the DSL fitting prescriptive method, and so selecting SPLogram makes good sense. And that's what I've selected on the screen here. We simply hit OK, and then those preferences are remembered. Step 2 is simulate and connect. Now, when simulating, we have the option to explore options for hearing devices within the Oticon portfolio and decide, based on the child's hearing loss, which hearing aid is going to be the most appropriate one to choose. Now, when you are ready to go ahead and start programming your hearing aid, you're simply going to hit the Connect button. Now, here in front of me, I have my NoaLink wireless programming system. As well, I have my hearing aids here in the charger. So I'm going to remove my hearing aid from the charger, place it in close proximity to the Noa wireless system, and then I'm going to go ahead and hit the Connect button on the screen. As we see, the instruments are making connection with the Noa wireless, and within a few seconds we see it pop up. Now we have the option to decide whether or not we are going to select this device as being fit to the right or the left side. And so for demonstration purposes, let's choose right, and then hit Continue, and now the systems are communicating with one another. That brings us to Step 3. The selection process. On the screen, we see a number of different options for us to draw our attention to. First is the center of the screen. We have this orange graph, and this orange graph is representing the fitting range of that particular hearing aid. So we see the Play PX1 and the audiogram that we've entered is well within that orange graph, indicating that it is a good fit for this particular child. Next, I'd like to draw your attention to the left-hand side of the screen and to the Acoustics button. Clicking on the Acoustics button will allow us to customize the ear hook and the type of ear mold that we're using. So we see on the screen that we have a damped ear hook, which is the one that we are using. For tubing, we are using a standard 2mm tube, and then for a vent, we have the opportunity to select a number of different vent size openings. And in this case, for our ear mold, we are using a pressure vent, which is 0.08. The next thing I'd like to draw your attention to on the left-hand side is the RECD tab. Now, the default for this menu is that we are using predicted values. However, if you did have the opportunity to measure your RECDs, simply mouse over the box, click on one of the boxes, and that will then give you the opportunity to type in your measured RECD values. Another tab to draw your attention to is the More Tools tab. When we click on More Tools, we see a number of different outcome questionnaires that are available. These have been preloaded into Genie as PDFs that you may print off and use as needed. The final tab I'd like to draw your attention on the selection screen is Firmware Tools. Whenever you fit a brand new Oticon Pediatric hearing aid, it's a good idea to run the instrument firmware updater. This ensures that you are running the most current version of firmware inside that pediatric hearing aid. That takes us to step number 4. Step 4 is fitting. By selecting the fitting button, we open up a screen that takes us and gives us options for making adjustments within the hearing aid. On the center of the screen is our SPLogram, where we can see our DSL targets for soft, average, and loud speech. On the lower half of the screen are our options for making gain adjustments. We can make overall gain adjustments by clicking on, for example, the moderate tab, and by using our plus or minus button, can make overall gain adjustments across the different frequency range. Should we want to make an individual gain adjustment for, let's say, 1000 Hertz, simply click on 1000 Hertz at the moderate level, and again use your plus or minus button to make adjustments at that particular level. Now, going back to the left-hand side of the screen, we see we have some other options to make adjustments. So Program Manager opens up a screen that allows us to choose to add another program. So if we wanted a dedicated program, for example, to look at music, we could select My Music, and this creates Program 2 as being exclusive for listening to music. We can also make adjustments to tailor that to the individual preferences of that patient. Clicking on More Tools on the left-hand side of the screen opens up some options for looking at speech rescue, which is our frequency lowering technology, as well as data logging. So for example, clicking on data logging is going to give us the opportunity to look at hearing aid usage in different programs based on what has been recorded by the hearing aid. The final thing to draw your attention to on the fitting screen is at the very top here we have a green status bar. This green status bar is giving us an indication when it is lit up that it is in fact communicating, there is communication between the hearing aid and the NOAA Link wireless programming device. That concludes the fitting, and that brings us to our final step, step 5, which is end fitting. Click on the End Fitting button, and this opens up a screen where we see a brief summary of the hearing aid instrument that we have just fitted, as well as we have some options on the left-hand side of the screen to make some final adjustments. Clicking on Buttons and Indicators opens up a screen where we have an opportunity to enable or disable the use of the program switch, the volume control, and as well we have the option to select a tab called Audible Indicators, which gives us the opportunity to make adjustments to loudness level and frequency level for things like startup jingle as well as the low battery light warning. Finally, there's an opportunity to take a look at the Accessories tab, where if we are using a remote microphone like the EduMic, we have the opportunity to make adjustments for making hearing aid and remote microphone transparency measures or adjusting for personal sound quality. Once that is concluded, we simply click on the Save and Exit button. It gives us a prompt to let us know that this will be saved both in the Genie fitting software as well as in the NOAA Fitting Link software. Click OK, and that then will conclude the fitting of your Oticon hearing aid, and now you are prepared to go over to your hearing aid verification system to do coupler or real ear measurements. Thanks for joining today, and I hope you found this information useful.